Hey everyone, it's Denise and welcome back to the channel. Today I have a collaboration video for you with Coloring Karia. Karia has a coloring book channel where she reviews coloring books as well as the art supplies that she uses to fill those books, primarily involving colored pencils. More importantly to me, Karia is the first person who welcomed me into the YouTube community from another YouTube creator. So I was really excited when we finally worked out an idea for a collaboration between our two channels, and that was watercolor pencils. Now, watercolor pencils are something that I've been looking into for quite some time, and of course I always ask Karia what her thoughts are since she has tried so many different brands of these. And with the funds that you all provided me with on Amazon Associates by using the links in the description below to buy your supplies, I get that small cut, and I was able to buy the set of 24 Faber Castell Albrecht Durer watercolor pencils, which are pretty close to some of the top line watercolor pencils. I think the only ones that I've heard that kind of top those are the Karia and I. So I was really excited to use these for the first time. And then Karia sent me over this coloring book called Magical Jungle, and it is the highest quality coloring book that I have ever seen. I know there are higher quality ones, but it has really nice thick paper and these really intricate drawings of animals. Now, I thought it was really funny when I came to one of the images in this book because it was of a chameleon, and not just any chameleon, it was actually in the same position as the drawing that I did for her as her part of the collaboration. So since I don't use coloring books hardly ever, instead of me sending her a coloring page to use to also use these Faber-Castell pencils with, I actually drew her a picture of a chameleon, and so I did the liner and microns on hot press Arches paper and sent that to her. And if you'd like to check out her video, of course after you watch this one, I will put a link in the description below so that you can see that. I did heavily consider using the chameleon as the coloring page for my part of the collaboration since it was so on the nose, but I really wanted to start with something a little bit more simple since I had never done something like this before. So I went with this really cute little hippo that is in a little, like a leaf pond aspect. So I figured it wasn't the entire page and I could really try and get to know these mediums. Now, this coloring book does have a page at the back that you can test your different mediums on. So I wanted to practice with these watercolor pencils, and first I tried to lay out these colors so that I could see what they did if you blended them on top of each other dry and then wet them, and then conversely I also wanted to see how they would layer. So if I put down one color, let it dry, and then layered another color on top of it, would it lift the color underneath, so on and so forth. And for the most part, what I found is that if you do dry a color, then the color on top of it won't blend in underneath. So I could get glazes more similarly to how I was used to with watercolor if I did this method. When I started working on this picture, I picked out the three different greens that were in this set and was layering them on top of each other to create some differences between each of these little lily pads and big broad leaves. And I realized after I started this that I was like, oh, well, there's a lot of green in this picture. So I apologize for that. If I had picked one that had a little bit more liberty with the colors, I could have used more from this set. But at the end of the video, I'll actually show you which colored pencils that I used out of the box, and I was pretty surprised that it was over half of them. I've often heard Karia talk about using 12 or even 24 color pencils is very limiting for her, and I always thought that was really kind of funny coming from a watercolor perspective where we can do entire paintings based on 3 colors, but watercolor pencils definitely aren't the same, and you're not doing as much mixing on a palette, although you can. Like they make these, she showed me this really cool grinding board that she has where you can grind the pigment and use it as a palette. But that kind of confuses me too, because then why wouldn't you just use watercolor? I guess if you already had the watercolor pencils, then you could also use those. But yeah, it's just a really interesting world that I hadn't dived into before. So we finally came to me reaching this cute little hippo inside the leaf, and I did a layer of 2 different grays and a pink to try and get that pinkish tone, and that I needed to let it dry and then come back to it. So I worked on some more of the leaves and the little fishes. There's more of the same of the green going up the right side of the page, and this page does connect with the other one, and on the other side you just have more fish. So hopefully I can continue this painting by working on the other side and making it look really cohesive. I was trying to fit color in wherever I possibly could, so I wanted to put in those pink and purple flowers on the top, but I also forgot at that point to go back and use water over the entire right side, so you'll see me coming back to that later. So again, how I'm using these pencils is I'm coloring down all my layers, anything that I want blended, blending the colors together the best that I can, and using a really light hand. I'm not pressing very hard at all because I don't want to build up too much pigment too fast. And then once I'm happy with the color selection that I have on my paper, then I'm using a very small, I think this is a size 3 Grumbacher brush, to go over everything and really liquefy that. Now, I was using this really small brush to do the water here, where I wanted to cover the plants that were under the water as well as the rocks that were underwater, and make them stand apart from the leaves that are around the little pond. But using such a tiny brush, my washes weren't very even, and so I did find that to be a big, like just a trouble point for myself and having to really work on that. And I definitely am not super happy with the results I got here, and I think that I could really benefit from a lot more practice. Again, this is the first coloring piece that I've used these pencils on. I did go over with the second layer of the blue and then went back to fix all those little green spots. And I also did another layer on the hippo. Forgot to mention that a little bit earlier. Before I did the water, I did a second layer on the hippo using blues, pinks, and those grays to get a little bit more depth and everything. Alright, so my overall thoughts on this product is that I really enjoy using them, particularly in my sketchbook when I was able to do more organic work. I think that they're really fun in that you can blend them before you put water on them, you can let them dry, you can add another glaze on top of it by putting down more color and washing it again. You can even put down more color pencil for more texture, and have this, you know, the color pencil feel to it on top of your watercolor washes. I think it's going to be really fun to draw an entire watercolor painting like using the watercolor pencils and then adding actual watercolor paints on top of it. As for coloring books with them, this is going to sound really funny because I'm super detail oriented when I'm working on my paintings and I need to loosen those up a bit. But when I have these teeny tiny little pre-drawn lines that I have to stay within and kind of color that way, I find myself getting really impatient, and it's not relaxing for me like I know that it is for other people like Karia and everyone who follows her. So I think this is a fantastic coloring book for what it is, for people who really enjoy this type of thing. This was one of the least detailed drawings I think in the whole book. I don't know how I would ever get through the more complicated ones, so I'm sorry, Karia, but I think that you are fantastic. I'm so appreciative of all your reviews of your color pencils and watercolor pencils and, you know, everything else on your channel. So please go ahead and check her out. I did want to mention real quick, I forgot to mention the pink on the left side of this box here does not come with the set. I got it as a free sample at my local art store when I made a watercolor purchase. So there was a white in its place, just so that you guys know that. This isn't actually a review for them, it's just the collaboration video, but I didn't want you seeing the pink and thinking that it came with it. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this different take on a collaboration. I have more collaborations scheduled for the upcoming months with a couple more YouTubers, and each and every one is different, so be sure to check back on those, and if you missed my other ones, feel free to take a look at those as well. I hope that you enjoyed this video, that you enjoy Karia's video, and that if you like what you saw and you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that red button. Thanks to all of my patrons and all of you watching and for commenting below, all that other fun YouTube-y stuff, and I will see you next time.